the ultimate Barner.
War Eagle, baby!
War Eagle.
War Eagle, hey!
The lifelong Bammer.
Roll Tide, Bama Nation.
Roll Tide. This is the Tigers and Tide podcast. All the latest news from Auburn, Alabama, and the SEC. Here are your hosts, Brett Mason and Jamie Thomas.
Hey guys, we're going to be comparing statistically the 2014 version of the Alabama Crimson Tide to the 2013 version. Unfortunately, our partner in crime, Jamie Thomas, is not here. He is the resident Alabama fan. I will try to be as unbiased as possible and just look at the numbers. I did a more detailed, analysis of the Auburn numbers because I'm more familiar with the team. We'll do the best we can with Alabama, and I think some things will jump out that doesn't require any bias and doesn't really require any in-depth knowledge on my part when you compare the 2014 to the 2013 squad of the Crimson Tide. And I think the first thing that jumps out is the offense, with the exception of penalties, is really dominating this year as compared to last year, and I don't think it's even close. If you look at passing yards, you're averaging 37.8 more yards a game this year on offense than you did in 2013, which is not an insignificant number. Rushing yards are about the same. So far through 6 games of the season, about 209 as compared to 205 last year. It's pretty even, but the total offense, of course, is up significantly. You're looking at 41.4. So, I think in terms of offense, you've seen a quite significant improvement. Of course, a lot of that is skewed towards some of those easier teams that were played earlier in the season, but that's going to be the case when you look at any team around the league right now, because that's just how the season plays out. I think what this does tell you, though, is that the penalties are huge, and when you look at the teams that have been played so far in the season, teams where that doesn't matter so much compared to where you're playing teams where that does matter a lot, and I think you probably see the difference there. So it's no surprise that that's one of the things that you see Nick Saban when he takes to the podium, what he's saying when he's doing these press conferences and he's talking about penalties and as he terms administrative penalties and that's things not lining up right and formation calls and false starts and things like that. And then penalties in general. I think there's one thing worth noting, though, as the defense is actually performing better penalty-wise so far this year. Penalty yards, 7 less yards per game this year on average as opposed to last year. So that's not bad at all. And I think the defense is kind of a wash in terms of passing. They're giving up more yards passing, which indicates maybe a little bit more trouble in the secondary and on the edges, as opposed to rushing, where the defense is pretty remarkably better this year. When you're comparing 68 in 2014 to 106 last year, I mean, it's a 38 difference. So I think you have to really, I think that's a pretty clear improvement in terms of defense. Now, again, you're comparing the complexity of all the teams that were played last year, so you have a total view, and we're only around halfway through for this season. So you have to take in mind the quality of a team that's been in play, but I think some things do jump out, that the offense is really a more explosive type of offense this year. And that's been pretty obvious. You didn't see it in this last game. You didn't quite see the explosiveness. They had some issues to deal with there, but I think there's maybe a couple things that jump out, and penalties would probably be the biggest one. We'll see if they're able to get to some corrections and tweaks, but I think it should give you at least some hope as an Alabama fan as to where the team could potentially go through this season, because this Alabama squad is not that far off the mark from last year if they clean up a couple of things, and I think penalties is probably step number one.
Tigers and Tide is a weekly podcast covering football in the state of Alabama and the SEC. We don't claim to be football gurus or talking heads. We're fans just like you. If you like the show, please take a moment to share the link to this episode on your Facebook page. And don't forget to like our page at facebook.com/Tigers and Tide. That's facebook.com/Tigers and Tide. Have a great weekend and War Eagle.
War Eagle, hey!
And Roll Tide.